Okay, this is my second attempt at these longer videos. I start by just doing random lines, and where it intersects, I round off the intersection parts. Um, why I like breaking these different parts down is when you get ready to color it in, if it gives you options. You can do each area individually, or sometimes if it's too busy, you you can paint two sections the same color. It just gives you more options. And as I'm again, this is kind of like doodling. I'm kind of making it up as I go along. Again, I like nature in natural round or curvy shapes. Excuse me. It's just who I am. I grew up spending a lot of time outdoors. I was in the Boy Scouts, and I was lucky enough to grow up hiking all over the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. Usually, 1 week long trips in the summer. And when I was younger, actually, we did the troop I was in. We did one camp out a month as a minimum. Some months we did more. Some months we did two. So maybe that's where I got my love for nature. I don't know. Probably. And another thing, as I'm doing this, I use representational images. Something that might, represent clouds, for example. So something that, like, again, I understand and admire the skill of people who can paint and draw and make it look like like a photograph. I mean, to me, that's just amazing. But for me, I just like, why not take a picture then? So I like to do it this way. And if something seems boring to me, then I just try to change it up. I look at it, and when I start actually coloring them in, when I start to color things in, I pause and I imagine what that color would look like, how it should be balanced out. I don't want too much of one color focused in one area unless it's for a specific reason. So, and I'll work with the same color pen. Usually, if I can, I'll look at the picture and I'll do all the places on that picture that need that color, that I think need that color. That saves me time putting down and picking up the pen. And again, sometimes I have to, and sometimes even, you got to think outside the box. Sometimes I will be drawing, and then I realize when I start to color that, wait a second, I should draw this, or I should add this. I mean, that doesn't happen too often, but sometimes it does. So you have to just be flexible. Again, I find this kind of relaxing, this kind of drawing. And again, I like nature, so plants, clouds, the sun, trees. All of a sudden I see, like, okay, a bunch of trees would look good here. And anyway, that's my thought process as I create. Sometimes I have a general idea in my head what I want the picture to look like very general. Sometimes, very rarely do I have specific. Maybe I'll have, like, okay, I'm going to do a bunch of yin-yang raindrops coming down or something like that. Sometimes I'll even think about it, a few minutes or a few hours or even the day before I do it. I'll start thinking, oh, what about this? I find that when I have a better idea of what I want to do, generally doesn't take me as long to draw it. Sometimes there are pauses in the video as I sit there and think, like, okay, now what should I do next? And but not too often. Also, I know if you notice, like once I start coloring, if it's a similar object, then I generally will use the same color across the page, like the sun's rays. I just think it adds a balance. It makes the page seem more balanced. And again, I don't want it to look strange or have too much attention drawn to one area necessarily. Another thing when you're doing large areas to remember is light colors, like the sky, or even if it's not the sky, because if you do, I learned early on, if you do dark colors for a large area, it really kind of ruins the picture. It's just too much dark. So I always use the light colors for the background, and the darker, more vibrant colors for the objects themselves. And again, use natural things, like if you look in this picture, for example, you got what looks like raindrops, or they could be teardrops. And you also have what looks like spots on a giraffe. So, I mean, I kind of want to evoke these things without actually, again, I'm not doing representational art. For me, I find it kind of boring to do representational art. It's just, I'd rather see what my mind comes up with as I'm creating. And usually, for me, I'm pleased. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I end up throwing it away. Or I'll spend a lot of time on one and I'll mess up one area of it and I can't fix it. And of course, that's very frustrating because, you spend all the time doing that. But again, using symbolism, using, like, for example, the curves, the clouds, and trying to make them pop a little bit by using colors that stand out against the other colors around it. For me, I like doing it this way. Another thing, I look at the whole picture and kind of want it to balance a little bit. And another thing about making sections, if you see, like, right there where I'm doing the blue, I was thinking of mountains and green hills and, rows of a farmer's field below. And what I like about the way I do it like this is, again, little section at a time. You get, I don't want to do a whole picture of that. To me, that's too representational. I like, I'll get like, okay, I'll do a little forest here in this little section, and always keeping in mind balancing colors. And I picture in my mind, usually before I color it, what color I want. And if it doesn't seem right, then I'll think of, well, maybe it look better this color or that. And if I'm not sure, sometimes, or a shade of a color, I'll just do a tiny bit in a corner or something, and that way I can see if it doesn't look good. I'll go, oh yeah, that's too dark. Yeah, and I'll use the same color family, but something lighter. Anyway, and then for example, in the middle here, the trees, and then of course they grow in the ground, which is green. So, and they also have roots. So that's kind of what was driving my brain as I was making this. And you can paint them brown, but sometimes I find it kind of boring. It's like, why not paint the tree red or orange? And then of course, if I do orange, that means I'm probably going to use a blue sky background, because orange and blue are complements. I just have to be really careful not to use too much dark color, because it can, like I said, it can really ruin a picture using too much dark color. And again, like with the yellow, I called in those little segments. Yeah, I could have made them each a different color, kind of like a zebra or something, but I thought it would be too busy, so I painted the whole thing that yellow. Now the other one above it, of course I did like that because I was thinking of a farmer's field and rows of some crop, so that's why I did it like that. And then again, doing, for example, these leaves I'm doing, It's like almost like a teal. It's a different color of green, and sometimes I will, of course it's harder when you're using pens because you can't really mix the colors, but I'll try to get like maybe 3 or 4 different color shades of green, and that can work as far as making it interesting and not so boring. So I keep that in mind as I'm working my way through the picture. And again, here I'm doing the giraffe looking thing. Of course I think those little blobs should be brown, right? Like on a giraffe, and in between yellow. But I did the opposite. I made in between brown and I made the blobs yellow. I'm pretty sure that's the opposite of the way a real giraffe is. And again, not to be too representational, just to take patterns and colors and things that I see in nature and represent them in my drawing. Again, if I think it's boring, I will do something to change it up. Paint it a color you wouldn't expect, maybe. Occasionally I will have to put down my color pen and pick up a black drawing pen and add something when it just doesn't look right. You see here I'm using pink and these little star-like things with some kind of energy vibrating from them. And of course the complementary to red is green, so pink is in the same family color as red. And I use, again, a light green. Again, if I used a dark green, it would not look as good. I know from trial and error that I've had a few pictures that I ruined by using dark when I should not have, and I ended up throwing the picture away. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Until the next video, bye-bye.